Hello, everybody. Welcome back to From Chai to Cheerios. I'm Kriti. I know in the last video we talked about how we met, how how we got into an arranged marriage, and how we eventually got married.
Marriage is a journey, I can say. That's the word they use normally. It's not like it's not like a straightforward path that we had actually. So we had our ups and downs as like any other couple in the world, I can say.
Yeah.
Keep a point over there. People are like, "Are you serious that you are like 100% perfect? Are you serious that you're 100% perfect couple or something like
We're
this?"
not.
I keep a statement right. They're saying that we are definitely not 100% perfect couple
Yeah.
actually. But what we did actually in our life is what we're saying to everyone over there because it's a learning curve.
Hmm.
You have to learn it step by step, and if you're learning it actually, that is how you can make a marriage work for like let's say 60 years.
Yeah.
Else that ship will sink in like 5 years, 4 years.
Yeah.
And what I say to the you know younger generation out there for sure actually is that your marriage doesn't start like in a 1 year or 2 year actually phase actually, let's say. If you really want a healthy marriage, your marriage starts after 10 years actually, in my perspective. Because if you have to understand a person, a lady or a man actually over there, it will take at least 10 years of your time.
Yeah.
Completely, let's say,
Yeah.
because you'll start with their family, you'll start with his eating habits, you'll start with his sleeping habits, you'll start with his like hygiene habits, for example, and travel habits, this, that, everything will take a very, very big amount of time for you to completely understand a person.
Mm-hmm.
And for this generation or for our generation, actually, patience is going to be very, very, very important for them.
100%.
If one or the other person bursts out actually over there, and if you just keep on fighting on the small, tiny things over there, your marriage won't last.
Yeah. And I think
We had our fair share of arguments, actually. There's not.
we did.
Yeah.
We did. And we're both people that are very emotional. Like you are emotional in the sense where you you have fear, basically. You're in the fear that you don't want to go into debt and you don't want to go into a space where you leave behind your family in struggle. And I'm in, a very emotional state where, I have my own things going on, like hormonally, or, going through the identity crisis situation, or, balancing things out at home with work, with the kid, everything else in between.
Yeah.
Right. And so we're both very emotional people. And because of that, we tend to have very passionate arguments. And by passionate, I'm being very, very, very sugarcoating of the facts here,
Yeah.
but our arguments are very passionate. I'm not afraid to say it because I feel like the reason why you argue without verbally abusing and without like abusing physically or anything, if you're arguing, it means that you care. Like
Yep.
if you're trying to fight each other's points, you're trying to help each other understand your perspective and you're trying to come to a balance, right? That is what makes marriage work. Like it sure, it's an argument, you're fighting, and it looks to the third person, it looks like, oh my God, these people are just at it and they're yelling at each other. But if you look deeper into the concept, right, it's like they're trying to help, they're trying to tell each other how they feel, and it can be done in a better way, 100%. But it's just a point where you're frustrated and you're trying to get to that
If,
better
yeah,
situation.
if you never talk or argue, actually, you never know what that other person is hurting on. For
Yeah.
example, like if a word that I say, for example, let me keep it candid. I throw lots of bad words
Yeah.
actually. Like that's my version of keeping the anger out. For
Mm-hmm.
example, like you don't like bad words at all because
Yeah.
you're not exposed to it. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
exposed actually. I'm as well, but I have lots of friends who are very good people actually. Let's say I'm exposed to it anyway. So that's how I give my anger. But you don't like it, for example.
Yeah.
Let's say. Then later I realize, okay, this is how she is. She doesn't like bad words. I should give my anger in a different way. I should
Mm.
express my like my thoughts in a different way, let's say. That's how I understood you actually, for
Mm-hmm.
example. So the same goes for any other person actually out there. If you have to understand your partner, you should know the good and bad stuff, both of the things,
Yeah.
because every person doesn't comes like, 100% Buddha level person actually, let's say, like Om Shanti kind of thing. That's not going to happen. That's
I
never
think
going to happen.
the main thing is that we need to understand that the opposite person, they grew up in a different environment.
Yep.
They grew up in a different upbringing. They grew up with different values. They're not wrong. They're just different,
Uh-huh.
right? And understanding that, rather than trying to say, what's that? Right?
Yep.
Rather than just making that face and kind of saying, like, what's that? I think that is important.
Yep.
Not questioning it, but understanding it,
Yep.
right? That's what makes that balance. That's the start of making that balance, right? Trying to understand why they do these things or why they feel this way. Like you said, I don't like um, bad words or profanity because I grew up never listening to them. Like I barely know one or two words here and there. Like I told you, I I think there was an episode when I was in college where somebody used a really, really bad word, like a very, very, very bad word. I didn't know it was a bad word. And, I was trying to repeat the situation that happened in that conversation to someone else. And I used this word because everyone laughed when that word was used in the context of the situation. And when I repeated it to someone, I also laughed when I said that word because I didn't know what that meant.
Yep.
And thankfully, the person that I was talking to was my senior. And he was like, "What did you just say?" And then I kind of explained to him, like, I actually cried that I don't know what it means. I just repeated what they said and I thought it was something funny. I just didn't know, and he felt really bad for yeah. So that's the thing with me. Like I never grew up listening to bad words in any way. So when I hear someone say things that I eventually learned what they mean. But when I hear someone say those words, it triggers something in me. Like I'm like, I don't know what to do. And, I don't feel okay when that happens, right? And so for you to understand that, it took a while.
Yep.
And you, for even today, like you think before you speak. And even if you are angry, you try to like pace it out. You try to take your space and you burst out. You do burst out, but you don't use those.
Yeah, we are all humans.
Yeah, right. So,
I say this simple and clear
yeah,
actually. We are all humans.
yeah.
We all are humans. Everyone has their own way of
Yeah, and I think when it comes to you, I think I understood that a lot of the times the reason why you're scared of debt is because you faced a lot of struggles in your early life, early masters, and trying to build your career, and you worked extremely hard to come to a standpoint, and all those struggles made you realize that you never want to go back to that state. And I think that's valid. And every time, like whenever I didn't have a job in between, you used to be very stressed and very, worried and very in fear. And I understood that because coming from that standpoint, your fear and your stress is valid. Of course, it could have been executed better, but still, I understood that point, and I think that's where that balance started to take an effect, right? Be it in that financial situation, be it in that understanding point of each other's mindsets, be it with family, which we come to a point where I know that like with men, a lot of the cases is that you're very attached to your family. And so are women, but you're very attached to the family. You have this authoritative thing because you're men, right? And you're the son of the household. So you have this responsibility on your shoulder. And your mom or your father, whoever it is, they still treat you like you're a young kid sometimes and you're very attached to them and that you seek advice from them, you respect them. And so you go to them a lot of the times, and you're so used to that fact. For women, we do that also, but it's also the fact that, we're in fear that, oh, what will they think? Because of a lot of the dynamics that are different for women. So when it comes to us, we're also sharing with our parents, and we're also sharing with our family or friends or whatever. And so when it comes to marriage, we forget that there's no wall, right? We can share with each other. We can talk to each other. We don't have to go to our parents and say, "Oh, he did this or she did that," right? If you feel like your partner did something that you're uncomfortable with, talk to them about it.
Yep.
And if you feel like, oh, your partner's parents did something that you're not okay with, talk to your partner about it, not your parents.
Well, I can say sometimes things won't go as you expect
Yeah.
actually, because as I say, for example, there are lots of mama's boys. There are lots
Mm-hmm.
of, dad as princess actually over there. Let's call it that way actually. There's always daddy's princess, right? So if you if you say something about his family or her family, actually people won't take it nicely because they think like, do you think my family is stupid? Do you think my family doesn't know how to live the life or something like
Mm-hmm.
this? Do you think my family raised on a barn or something like this?
Mm-hmm.
No, that's not what it is actually. And think in this perspective, if you're going to live with this guy or girl actually for next 50 or 60 years, try to be transparent. Try to be as transparent as you can.
Yeah.
But when your partner is giving some sort of information saying that, hey, you know what, I'm not comfortable with this side of your family or something with you actually, take it in a positive way. I know it's very hard. I can just say it, but it's very hard for you to take it actually in a
Yeah.
positive way. But if you're really thinking of building a family with this person, you should take it actually in a positive way and you should start working on it.
Yes.
Because if that person is not comfortable in living with you or your family, this relationship won't go long.
Yeah.
Either one of you guys will just start fighting on things and things will start breaking apart actually. But eventually think in this way. Will your family accept you when you go back? Yeah, they do. But will you still have your life, your family, your kids, your husband, wife, good family, house? Do you still have it? No. You'll still go and live with your parents or something like this. Same goes for the boy actually. He'll still go and live with the parents. But that is what do you want in your life actually? No. Then really start working on your family, your side of things. No parents, trust me, no parents want their kids to have a bad marriage.
Yeah.
No parents will like,
If they do, then something's wrong.
yeah, something is
But
definitely wrong actually.
yeah, if they want to actually physically go or mentally go out to try to ruin your marriage, something's really wrong.
Totally wrong.
But for the most part, if they're good people, if they're good, families, then no, they don't want their kids to split up.
Yep.
Nobody wants their kids to be unhappy. Um, I think it's just a matter of, again, ego. It's a matter of a principle like, oh, do you know better than us? Right? That concept comes into play, especially with like daughter-in-laws and the in-laws house. And I think that's also something with the son-in-laws and
I want to give you an example actually that went in viral like few days ago, let's say,
mm-hmm,
or few months ago.
mm-hmm,
You know this French president, right?
mm-hmm,
Macron guy.
mm-hmm,
Um, he's just coming from a flight actually to a different country, let's say, and the cameramans and everything are, the cameras will obviously point to the president,
right.
obviously, and his wife accidentally is like kind of slapped him or something like this, like in the face actually,
Okay.
and immediately he did not react in a bad way, right? He could have slapped her back, he could have slammed her, thrown out of the flight actually. He can do 100 different things actually because he's a president and he can do anything he wants. Eventually, he did not do anything. He just went back to her, talked to her. They both came back smiling. What my point here is, if a normal person like you and me can have egos, imagine a people like presidents, prime ministers,
Yeah.
actually, what kind of ego they can actually
Yeah.
possess, and what kind of damage they can do the partner, actually.
I mean, you're not trying to insinuate that slapping and things are okay, right? You're not.
Yeah.
You're not.
But at the same time, going to the ego and looking at the narrative, maybe she didn't slap him actually. Maybe they're just playing. Who knows?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
But eventually, when you're looking at that third person's eye, actually, she's slapping.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what went viral everywhere. Like,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
she slapped him, she slapped him, she slapped him. No, probably it's not the case, actually. What you're looking is different. What happened over there is different.
Yeah.
And what is the relationship between these two people are totally different.
Yeah.
So, that's what I say to everyone. Don't just go by like immediate reaction. Like, you know what? This happened. She just, gave me bad words. I should do the bad words to him. No.
Yeah.
If something is happening with one of your partner sets, actually, one of the guys have messed up actually over there, give it some time.
Yeah.
Just take a breath actually. It won't
Yeah.
hurt you. Trust
To
me, it
your
won't hurt
point, I think like that's a good standpoint where I think when something goes wrong, if someone says something or does something, um, think about what happened.
you. Yep.
Think about why they might have reacted that way. Talk it out.
Yep.
Communication is big in marriage, and communicating with each other, not anybody else, um, is important because, like to your point, too many cooks can spoil the
Yep.
dish. And so each person's perspective on marriage is also very different. It's not going to be aligned with you. So having their influence will also change your perspective and your balance and things that go on in your marriage itself. And I think the biggest things that we learned in our marriage is communication is key. Understand before you react. And, I think another thing is don't let external forces or external people influence your marriage.
One point I can add actually over there is, list to the points that you're saying. Always keep the same mindset people near you. Let's say if you're a person who want to go in a career, or if you want to like always have positive thoughts in your life or something like this, keep those kinds of people near and dear actually,
Yeah.
rather than encouraging all sorts of garbage actually, just because you need friends, just because you need circle, just
Yeah.
because you need
Yeah, I think.
all those drama and stuff actually,
Yeah.
that will eventually ruin your life, your marriage, everything. So
Yeah.
think and keep very, very narrow circle, and also very good circle.
Mm.
It won't hurt you in a long term.
Yeah. And I think like that's a good point. And we can talk about it down the line too, but um when you're adults and you're especially abroad, you're always going to be in situations where, oh, either you have a very limited circle or no circle, or you're gonna have a very big circle full of people, parties, events, this, that, blah, blah, blah.
Trust me.
Either way,
Helps you when you're dying, actually.
right?
Trust me.
100%. So, either way, I think it's very important to understand that you should allow people in your life who truly and genuinely support you, who truly and genuinely will be there for you when you need them, and also who don't just come in and try to, barge into your marriage or into your life or
Yep.
state unnecessary opinions or influence or have any negative things about you. Like you can have a huge circle, you can have a ton of parties, you can have a huge social life and you'll be exploring. You can do a whole bunch of great things. But at the end of the day, it is you and your partner.
Yep.
At the end of the day, when you turn off those lights and head to bed and wake up, it's you and your partner.
Yep.
So understand, in between whatever it is that you and your partner need to do to balance things out, do it. Talk it out. Understand why the other person is reacting that way. And understand that, in between both of you, no one else can be that third party unless and until it's going way out of hand and you have no idea what to do and it's just chaotic. That as a very last resort, that's when you would go to a third person.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think to balance it out, it's very important to talk it out and understand each other's perspective before jumping into any conclusions. And I think a lot of people also have this thought that, oh, he didn't support me in this one little thing, um, then the marriage is over. No. I think if you've seen this video with Allu Arjun, actually, how do you make your marriage work or something? And he says like we're very understanding. And I think like ours is a love marriage, but we have our differences. We have arguments and things like that. He's not saying he doesn't support me. He's saying he doesn't support this one little thing,
Yep.
right? That's
Maturity.
a very big, and I really loved that how he articulated it and how he respects his wife and explains that.
Sometimes I feel like there's nothing wrong in just agreeing to your partner's point,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you just don't have to like disagree to everything, or you
Yeah.
just don't have to argue for everything.
Yeah.
If let's say if the other partner wants to try something new, let them do it, as long as he's not banging his head to the wall or something like this, or
Yeah.
going and committing a suicide in front of a truck person.
Yeah.
Your partner has feelings. Your partner has their thoughts. The way the marriage works is exploring your thought process. If a person is having some thoughts, okay, you know what, just sit and listen. And if the person is asking you, hey, you know what, can we do this? Then suggest, then say
Yeah.
yes or no. Sometimes all a person over there on the other side needs is a good listener actually. For being a man actually, yes, okay, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Just nod your head.
At least
Just
understand, right?
listen and understand and just pause it and leave it.
Yeah.
You don't have to do anything. That's all it takes for a good marriage actually. Just be a good listener sometimes.
So same with women too. Like if you're throwing a whole bunch of stuff at us, just say, okay, patience.
Yep.
I think that's another key point.
Eventually, yeah, we are mama's boys and your dad's princess. So that's what it is. So we think if you don't have mama nearby, anyone who is next to us is a mama actually. So we
Yeah.
just throw all the stuff on you.
Yeah.
And that's the reason most of the men call to their moms actually, I can say.
Yeah.
Because moms don't judge.
Yeah.
They just
They're
nod.
always supportive.
They just nod their head. If let's say if I, I I don't want to say it in front of camera, but if I want to murder someone actually tomorrow, let's say if I say I call my mom and hey, this guy did so many things, I just want to kill this guy. Like my mom says, yeah, kill him, but kill him smoothly, like don't give him lots of.
I think she'll say that. I think she'll still ask you.
Yes, I'm just kidding, but the moms won't disagree to lots of points.
Okay, the point is that
Yeah,
your moms are very supportive of you and they see the good side of the things and they don't judge you for
that's the thing.
those decisions, which is a good thing. And women don't have that, to be honest with you. They don't have like that fully supportive factor. So it's very hard for us to understand when, you call your mom and you ask for an opinion or something. But another thing that I want to point out is for husbands is if you want to make a decision, let's say the first person you think of is your mom, which is great. We are supportive of that. Nobody wants to come in between that. But also remember that you're also building a family with your partner. And they also have a hand in that decision because it's affecting you two directly, right? And so communicate with your partner first and then communicate with your parents. And it's hard. It's very, very hard. And people might not agree with that point also, but that's what makes a marriage work is understanding that you are each other's top priority.
Yep.
And so you're not, it doesn't mean that you're placing your parents below you. It's just that they're not the same, right? They're still up, they're probably up there with you, but they're not the same priority. Um, when the time comes, there may be situations where you have to prioritize your parents, like with their health, with their situations. That's great. You do it. Do it. But also remember that your partner who is also there for you, who has sacrificed so much to be there for you, who is doing everything they can to support you, is also very important to include in any decisions that you make.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think these are a lot of the points that we implemented in our marriage, and that's how we made it so far.
Yeah, we are just saying like
We're not
it's just a tip of the iceberg. Actually, there's like A lot of couples out there, they know 100 other things that we don't know actually. So
Absolutely.
we are always open for new input.
We talked about what worked in our marriage, and we're not trying to suggest anybody. It's just that it might help somebody out there to understand, okay, this is also something we can consider. And so if you have any stories, we're still learning.
Yeah,
We are still making things work. We are still on that learning curve. And then we're gonna keep learning. It's like software. It's like coding and all these jobs that we're doing. We're continuously learning new things every day as they launch. Marriage is the same thing. You're
yep.
still learning continuously to improve on that marriage.
Even if you ask like a 80-year-old man, actually, he'd
Yeah.
say that, yeah, I'm still learning a lot of things until I die. Actually, it's
Yep.
so. But it's a good learning. It's a good thing that if you impart this knowledge to the next generation,
Yeah.
probably they'll build on that actually.
Yeah. And I think I also want to add to the point that they always say happy wife, happy life.
Yep.
Your wife will be happy when you are happy and when you give equal importance to her. And so that's something you also need to understand that our happiness is also.
Let's give a new statement actually. Happy men, jolly men. Let's change the statement actually.
You mean happy men, happy, well, happy life?
Yeah, whatever, jolly man, whatever. It's easy. Happy, jolly, whatever.
All right. Well, I think that's all we had for today. I think um, as we go through this journey together with you guys, we definitely want you to learn about us and help us build this so that we can help you. And that's what we're here for. That's why we created this channel. Is that we're not here to guide anybody. We're not here to be gyanis, like Rahul said, but we are here to share our experiences in hope that somebody out there might relate, might, find helpful. And we're also willing to listen and learn from you guys too. So feel free to share your thoughts. We'd love to know.